Welcome back to the York Woods. My name's Dan. Today we're going to be putting the stars on the flag. First, I need to warm up the shop, and for that, I need to feed the fire-breathing dragon with some dinosaur fossils. All right, so it's a couple hours later. Barn's nice and warm. We're going to take a look at our donor flag and kind of look at how the stars fall on the flag, and we're going to transfer that over to the wooden flag. So as you notice, here is that fold that we carved in. And if you look at the stars, they're kind of leaning towards maybe about a 15-degree angle. The angle doesn't matter because when we put our stencils on, we're going to use the hard line between the union and the stripes on both cases. So as we do this and I lay the stencil on, you kind of get an idea of what the layout's going to look like. So let's move it over to, before we do that, this is a previous one that I had done. So you kind of get what the final product will end up looking like. And basically the stencils, like I said, were just based off of where the union matches the stripes. Okay, so what I got going on here is a whole mess of stencils. I bought a few kits online. You can find these pretty much about anywhere, where it's just different sizes, all the way up to super large. I'm kind of in between these two here. I'm going to lay them out on the flag and see which size matches up. It doesn't have to be an exact. It can be pretty much whatever looks the best with the size of the flag that you're doing. So when I'm matching these up, I typically will match up bottom first and then kind of know where the fold goes under. And I laid this one out. This is the smaller of the two that I'm debating between. And I kind of think I'm liking this. Looks like we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, partial, 5 or 6 stars, and then a partial of about another 3 or 4. So I'm kind of liking that one, just to add a few more stars than what this one would be, which would only give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe in a partial. Obviously less stars to carve out, but aesthetically wise, I think this one's going to look better. And I usually try to make sure I get 1 or 2, 3 really good bold stars. And the simplest way to do this, again, is just to kind of keep yourself lined up with one of your hard lines. In this case, the hard line I'm using is this one between the stripe and the union. Put it on the corner and just kind of trace it out. Get a good sharp pencil. And when I do these, I actually color in the whole star. So I've got a bright light above my head that lead will reflect into. And these don't have to be perfect. Obviously, it's a rustic looking piece, but try to get to your points as best you can on the stars, just because it does give a nice sharp line when you're carving. And at the end of the day, you want to be respectful to the flag. Also, too, when you do carve, the tools you're using, at least the tools I'm using, aren't overly precise. It's just a Dremel with a carving bit on the tip. So, not exact science here, folks. Some of these ones on the edge, when you get to them, just put a spot where you can come back to later and really focus in on that specific star. Because the way this is laid out, it is a little bit tricky to get them all perfect. You will need to sharpen your pencil a couple of times as you're doing this too. Try to get as many of these laid out as I can before I have to do that. I probably should have grabbed a couple of pencils before I started this, but you know, I'm at this top star and I have a little bit more to go to get to the top. This is where you use, I don't know if you can see that in the drawing there or not. Probably not. So I'll use a previous star. Oh, before I go any further, make sure you mark the top, or you know for sure which part is the top of your stars, because you don't want to put your stars on upside down, sideways, backwards. You want to make sure that the points are up. So I'm going to find a star here. It's about the same angle, good to go there, matching up there. And ironically, I don't need to put any more in. So I'll go back through, tidy up some of these stars. And when we get the Dremel out, you'll see where they all fall. Now for the other side, same concept. Come over here, line it up with the bottom of the union, figure out where you want to be at. This fold in the middle does hide a few stars. So if it's not exactly perfect, it's actually a good thing. Now I've tried markers, and markers just don't tend to show up as well under a bright light for when you're carving on this blue field. You kind of see why some of these guys will paint these, just because this is a little tedious. But in my opinion, worth it at the end. And there we are. So hopefully that shows up a little better there. Get up top here, I may throw in an extra 1 or 2 just because of cosmetics, just to make it look more uniform. But you get an idea what it looks like with pencil. Now let's get to carving them out with the Dremel. So what you're seeing here is a bit I'm starting with. It's just got a little point on the end. And then we're going to start that. We're going to do the outside. Then I may switch bits just to take out the meat of the stars. So that's one. You can solve real time. They're probably about a minute a piece. So by the time you take your time and do these, you got about 15 to 20 of them to do. It's about 20 minutes, 30 minutes to do the stars. Not a big deal. It's not as many as having to do all 50 of them. So let's keep moving. So what I've done now is switched out one that is more of a tip or a point. It's one that I can remove a little more meat with. So let's clean these up and we'll just about be done. So keep in mind, it's the imperfections that make it perfect. And after all, this is going to be rustic. So you want some non-uniformity, I guess, to it. It makes each one unique. That way, whoever buys it knows that they're getting a one-of-kind. And now that that part's done, we're going to give it one final torch just to bring out some of the highlights in the stars. Nothing real heavy. And now on to putting on the top coat. So as far as colors and finishes, what I've done is I've used the Rust-Oleum 2X paint on the red, the Rust-Oleum 2X, this is the Midnight Blue, this is the Apple Red, and then I'm doing the final coat with clear gloss. Just kind of give you an idea of what it looks like. Light, thin coats. Do be sure to get down in your cracks and your crevices down in here. That will absorb a lot of this clear. Probably going to need several coats, to be quite honest. Spray all the way through. Don't stop in the middle because you'll leave drips and pools. So we'll let this dry. Come back in about an hour or two. I may put a little heat on it just to make sure it dries a little quicker. Put another coat on top of it. We'll flip it over, do the back. I'll put a hanger on the back of it. And at that point, should be ready to be completed. Okay, for one last finishing touch here, we're going to flip this over. It's still a little wet. And what you're seeing below this is some screws that are just in some scrap wood. The screws make really sharp points to where when I flip this over, if it is still a little bit damp, it doesn't mar the finish at all. So with any good piece of artwork, you got to sign it. What I always do is I start off with putting a sticker on. Now there's a couple different ways you can sign it. Obviously, you can always use a marker, sign your name, whatnot. I like to use a scorch marker. The way this works is you basically sign, autograph, whatever, your piece of work, and it goes on red. Cool thing is you lightly touch it with a torch, and this area will look burnt as well. Doesn't take much, a quick hit of heat will burn it right in. Fortunately, I got my sticker there too, so I'm going to replace this sticker with a new one. All right, so got the sticker on. I've got the signature on it, and now we'll go ahead and put a clear coat on top of this. So we'll let that set up a little bit and then finish up the rest of it when this dries. All right, we're on the home stretch now. Finally dry, ready to go. Need to put a hanger on the back. These little hangers I picked up on Amazon. You can pick them up about anywhere. They just screw in. They come with their own little screws, so you don't have to worry about going through the back of the board. Yeah, there's one. A little screw here. We're going to put a couple of those on the back and put a piece of wire in between, so you only need to use one nail or screw in your wall to physically hang it. And then in here, you can find these online as well. They're cabinet shipping nails or just plastic headed nails. I put those at the bottom. That way, if you do hang it up against the wall, it doesn't tend to leave a mark. If you do leave it on the wall, kind of also helps to keep it in place. So I'm going to get to flipping this over and doing the final steps. So when I figure my wire, I'm going to hang it probably with the wire about this far away from the top. That way there's a little room. Need about that much wire. So this is just some galvanized steel wire. Comes unwound. Screw these guys into here. Feed the wire up. Give it a twist around. And you see there'll be enough wire here. Up and around. Obviously finish this however you'd like. This just happens to be how I do mine. It seems to be pretty simple and easy to do. Very cost effective as well. So that'll hang on your nail on the wall. And then at the bottom, get it started. So I've got it started here, but I don't want to hammer on the nails. So take it off for just a second. So there's the finished back. So thanks for watching part 2. If you like this kind of content, like and subscribe, comment. I'd love to hear them. And as always, keep being very patriotic. Have a great day.